Chapter 1: Understanding Indigenous Spirituality, an Overview. Indigenous spirituality stands as a profound testament to the interconnectedness of humanity and nature. To truly appreciate the depth of these spiritual traditions, one must delve into their foundational elements, cultural contexts, and the genuine relationships Indigenous peoples maintain with the earth. This chapter serves as a gateway to explore these sacred traditions, showcasing the diversity and richness that define Indigenous spirituality worldwide. As we embark on this exploration, it's essential to recognize that Indigenous spirituality is not monolithic. Each community possesses its unique beliefs, myths, rituals, and sacred practices shaped by distinct historical, geographical, and social influences. The heart of Indigenous religions often lies within their understanding of the natural world, viewing nature not merely as a resource, but as a living entity imbued with spirit and significance. Consider, for instance, the connection between the Maori of New Zealand and their ancestral land. For the Maori, spiritual beliefs are intricately linked to the land, ancestors, wakapapa, and the environment. They regard natural features such as mountains, rivers, and forests as sacred and personified, fostering a sense of responsibility to protect these entities. This connection manifests in their rituals and practices, such as the karanga, a traditional call performed during welcomes, emphasizing respect and acknowledgement of the ancestors and the land. In contrast, the indigenous peoples of the Amazon rainforest, such as the Yanomami, demonstrate a different but equally profound relationship with their environment. Their beliefs revolve around animism, where every creature and natural element possesses a spirit. These beliefs guide their hunting, foraging, and community activities, ensuring harmony with their surroundings. Through rituals, they seek guidance from their ancestors and maintain balance with the spirits that inhabit their world, reinforcing their bond with nature. To grasp the practical implications of these beliefs, engage in an imaginative exercise. Picture a day in the life of an Indigenous person from a community you're less familiar with. Imagine waking at dawn, participating in a community ritual, perhaps offering thanks to the spirits of the forest before embarking on a day of gathering food or engaging in craftsmanship. Reflect on how these spiritual practices would shape not just your relationship with the land, but with your community, identity, and daily life. As we progress through this chapter, it is crucial to highlight the role of oral traditions in preserving and transmitting Indigenous knowledge. Elders are the custodians of cultural heritage, often recounting stories that encapsulate moral lessons, historical accounts, and cosmic truths. These narratives are not mere entertainment. They serve as fundamental teaching tools that impart wisdom across generations. To truly understand Indigenous spirituality, one must appreciate the significance of storytelling as not only an art form, but as the very foundation of cultural identity and spiritual understanding. Next, let's examine the diversity of ritual practices found in various Indigenous cultures. Rituals are expressions of spirituality that reinforce social bonds and connect individuals to their cultural heritage. For example, in the Native American tradition, the sun dance is a significant ceremony intended to promote healing, renew the spirit, and encourage communal unity. Participants undergo rigorous physical trials, symbolizing sacrifice and a connection to the divine. Such rituals serve as a powerful means of reaffirming community identity while instilling a sense of purpose and belonging among participants. Another captivating example can be drawn from the practices of the San people of southern Africa, renowned for their trance dances. These rituals, often led by shamans, facilitate healing and communication with the spirit world. Through rhythmic movement and music, practitioners enter altered states of consciousness, allowing them to access spiritual realms and heal both individuals and the community. Such practices highlight the dynamic nature of Indigenous spirituality and its adaptability in modern contexts. To deepen your understanding of these practices, take a moment to reflect on your own rituals or spiritual practices. What do they signify in your life? How do they shape your identity and relationships? Write down your thoughts, considering the parallels and differences between your experiences and those of Indigenous communities, fostering a greater appreciation for the unique spiritual landscapes that exist across cultures. While exploring these diverse traditions, it is essential to acknowledge the challenges indigenous religions face today. Colonization, globalization, and environmental degradation threaten the survival of these sacred practices. Many indigenous communities now fight to reclaim their cultural heritage while navigating the complexities of modern society. Their resilience and adaptability remind us of the importance of sustaining these traditions for future generations. As we conclude this overview, recognize that indigenous spirituality is an ever-evolving tapestry woven with threads of history, culture, and environmental stewardship. Understanding these traditions is a journey toward appreciating the profound connections between spirituality, identity, and the world we inhabit. In the chapters to come, we will dive deeper into specific traditions, examining their unique attributes and the distinct ways in which they guide the lives of Indigenous peoples around the globe. Engage with this reflection. As you prepare to explore the intricacies of Indigenous religions, consider how these traditions relate to your understanding of spirituality. How might learning about diverse spiritual practices enhance your appreciation for humanity's shared experiences? Approach this journey with an open heart, eager to embrace the wisdom that Indigenous traditions have to offer. Chapter 2: Rituals and Ceremonies. Connecting with the sacred rituals and ceremonies are fundamental aspects of Indigenous religions, providing structure and meaning to the spiritual experiences of communities across the globe. These practices serve as a bridge connecting the physical and spiritual worlds, often honoring ancestors, nature, and the divine. In this chapter, we will explore the various dimensions of rituals and ceremonies within Indigenous traditions, examining their purposes, forms, and the deep connections they forge with the sacred. To understand the significance of rituals, it is essential first to recognize their core elements. At their essence, rituals often involve specific actions, symbols, and prayers aimed at invoking the presence of spiritual entities or honoring sacred spaces. They can be recurring events, such as seasonal festivals, or specific life cycle rituals like births, marriages, and deaths. Engaging with rituals helps individuals and communities affirm their beliefs, express gratitude, and seek guidance from the spiritual realm. As you delve into the rich landscapes of various Indigenous traditions, consider the importance of intention behind each ritual. The participants bring their hopes, fears, and aspirations to the ceremony, creating a shared experience that often transcends individual perspectives. Take time to reflect on a personal ritual you engage in, perhaps a family gathering or a tradition you observe. What intentions do you carry into these practices? How do they connect you with your community and heritage? One of the most fascinating aspects of Indigenous rituals is the diversity of their forms. For instance, consider the Native American sweat lodge ceremony, which involves a group entering a small, dome-shaped structure where heated stones are placed at the center and water infused with herbs is poured over them. This ritual serves as a cleansing and healing experience, allowing participants to reflect, pray, and connect with the Great Spirit and their ancestors. Participants often emerge feeling rejuvenated, both physically and spiritually. As you read about different practices, challenge yourself to notice the underlying themes that emerge, what connects these seemingly disparate rituals across cultures. Another compelling example is the Andean Cora ceremony, celebrated by Indigenous communities high in the Andes Mountains. This ceremony involves offerings to the Pachamama, Mother Earth, in gratitude for her bounty. Participants often prepare elaborate displays of food and flowers, which are energetically charged with their intentions before being laid to rest in sacred sites. Through these acts of reciprocity, the Andean people maintain a deep connection with the land, expressing respect for nature's resources. As you reflect on this, consider how rituals in your life honor the interconnectedness of nature and human existence. Rituals are not merely isolated events. They are woven into the fabric of daily life and serve specific communal functions. In many cultures, ceremonies mark transitions, weaving together individual experiences with communal memory. For instance, in many African traditions, initiations signify the passage from childhood to adulthood, often accompanied by a series of rites that teach the values, responsibilities, and cultural heritage of the community. Engage with this idea of transitions in your life. What rituals have marked your own significant changes? How do they reflect the values of your community? Moreover, the spiritual significance of rituals is often tied to the relationship between indigenous peoples and their environment. Many rituals reflect an understanding of the cycles of nature, emphasizing respect and gratitude toward the earth. For example, the Maori of New Zealand practice the haka, a traditional dance performed to honor ancestors and celebrate important events. This performance not only expresses strength and unity, but also reinforces their connection to the land and the ancestors who walked it before them. Think about how your environment influences your spiritual practices. What elements of nature or place invoke a sense of sacredness for you? As we navigate these cultural expressions, it is crucial to approach them with respect and sensitivity. Many indigenous practices are deeply personal and often closely held within communities. As you learn about these rituals, consider how you can honor their origins and meanings without appropriating them. Engage with indigenous communities, seek stories, and understand the cultural contexts in which these traditions exist. Finally, reflect on the role of rituals in fostering community cohesion and resilience. In times of crisis or change, rituals provide a space for collective grieving, healing, and hope. In the wake of natural disasters or social upheaval, indigenous communities often draw upon their rich spiritual traditions to navigate challenges and rebuild connections with one another. Consider how you can create or participate in rituals that promote healing and unity in your own community. What practices can cultivate resilience and hope moving forward? In conclusion, rituals and ceremonies form an integral part of the spiritual framework within indigenous religions. They connect individuals with their heritage, the natural world, and the greater cosmos. As we explore further in this book, keep in mind the transformative power of these practices, the ways they create sacred spaces, invite reflection, and build community ties. Embrace the stories and teachings of various traditions as you develop a deeper understanding of the profound connections between humanity, nature, and the divine. Chapter 3: The Role of Nature, Sacred Landscapes and Elements. In the intricate tapestry of indigenous beliefs, nature serves as a foundational element that shapes the spiritual world. Across continents, indigenous communities articulate a profound connection to the land, viewing it not merely as a resource, but as sacred space imbued with spiritual significance. This chapter delves into the diverse ways in which indigenous peoples relate to their environments, revealing the intricate relationships between their spirituality and the natural world. Understanding the sacredness of landscapes begins with recognizing that, for many indigenous groups, the land is alive with spirits and ancestors. This sense of animism permeates their narratives, rituals, and practices. To grasp these beliefs, you must reflect on your own connections with nature. Consider a place that holds special meaning to you. How does this space resonate with your identity and experiences? Engage in a reflective exercise. Find a quiet spot outdoors and allow yourself to connect deeply with your surroundings, observing the sights, sounds, and feelings that arise. For numerous indigenous cultures, particular landscapes hold paramount importance, often associated with creation stories and ancestral spirits. The mountains, rivers, and forests are frequently seen as the embodiments of deities or as places where rituals can commune with the divine. In the Andean cultures, for instance, the mountains are considered sacred, revered as the epus, or mountain spirits. These spirits are called upon for guidance and protection during agricultural cycles, reinforcing a harmony between spirituality and sustenance. Can you think of a natural element in your environment that resonates with your life experiences? Write down your thoughts, considering how this element influences your day-to-day life. To further comprehend the sacred landscapes, it is essential to explore the concept of stewardship within indigenous traditions. Unlike exploitative relationships with nature, many indigenous groups practice sustainable stewardship, fostering a reciprocal relationship with the land. This principle is evident in diverse practices such as controlled burns, which promote healthy ecosystems, or rotational farming, which preserves soil fertility. Reflect on your lifestyle. How do you interact with your local environment? Are there sustainable practices you can adopt in your daily habits? Through storytelling and oral traditions, individuals within indigenous communities perpetuate their connection to the land. Myths and legends often describe the creation of the earth, its elements, and the interconnection of all living beings. The Dreamtime stories of Australian Aboriginal peoples illustrate how ancestral beings shaped the land, imparting moral lessons and cultural knowledge. Take a moment to create your own short story, inspired by the natural elements around you. What lessons can nature teach us? How do these lessons resonate with your lifestyle and values? Additionally, certain natural elements, such as water, fire, and the earth itself, carry distinct spiritual meanings across various indigenous cultures. Water, for example, is often seen as a life-giving force and is regarded as sacred. Many tribes perform rituals around water sources, expressing gratitude and inviting blessings. Consider your relationship with water. How do you utilize it in your life? Is it a source of nourishment, rejuvenation, or simply a necessity? Contemplate ways you might honor water, perhaps by advocating for its preservation in your community. Fire, too, plays a vital role in rituals and celebrations. Among many Native American tribes, fire symbolizes transformation, purification, and community. The act of gathering around a fire fosters connections, allowing for storytelling, sharing, and healing. Think of a time you gathered with family or friends around a fire. What stories were shared? How did that experience deepen your connections with those present? Consider hosting a gathering that emphasizes such storytelling, connecting with others in a meaningful way. Lastly, the earth itself is revered in numerous traditions as the ultimate source of life. Cultivating a relationship with the earth involves recognizing its gifts, from plants to minerals. Many indigenous groups practice rituals that celebrate the earth's bounty, offering thanks and seeking permission before harvesting. Examine your consumer habits. How do they impact the earth? Challenge yourself to understand where your food comes from and seek local options that prioritize sustainability and respect for the earth. In conclusion, the relationship between indigenous spirituality and nature is a complex, multifaceted dialogue that reveals essential truths about identity, community, and the environment. As you navigate this intricate web, remember that these connections are not solely historical. They invite you, too, to forge a deeper bond with the natural world. Through reflection, storytelling, and mindful practices, you can enhance your understanding and appreciation for the sacred landscapes that surround you, fostering a more profound respect for the spiritual heritage of indigenous traditions. As you move forward, consider how you can embody these lessons in your everyday life. Engage with nature, not just as a backdrop, but as a companion in your journey. Allow these sacred landscapes to inspire your actions, shaping your beliefs and practices while fostering a respectful relationship with the world around you. Chapter 4: Ancestors and Spirits, the Interconnectedness of Life. In the intricate web of indigenous beliefs, ancestors and spirits form the foundation of spiritual understanding, bridging the past with the present and interlinking the seen with the unseen. Across continents, indigenous peoples perceive their existence as a manifestation of a larger cosmic order, where relationships with ancestors and spiritual beings play a pivotal role in daily life. This chapter delves into the concept of interconnectedness, examining how these elements shape rituals, moral frameworks, and worldviews within various indigenous traditions. To grasp the significance of ancestors in indigenous spirituality, we must first acknowledge that ancestors are not only revered figures from the past, but are seen as active participants in the lives of their descendants. They provide guidance, protection, and continuity, embodying the wisdom and experiences accumulated over generations. Consider the Maori of New Zealand, who articulate their belief in the living presence of their ancestors through the concept of tupuna. This term encapsulates the essence of ancestral acknowledgement, emphasizing that the values, lessons, and spiritual legacies of those who came before continue to influence and direct contemporary life. To comprehend these connections, engage in a reflective practice. Sit quietly and envision your own ancestors. Think about their lives, challenges, and triumphs. What values have they instilled in you? Write down your thoughts in a journal. This exercise can deepen your understanding of how ancestral legacies shape personal and communal identity. In various cultures, rituals serve as a conduit for connecting with ancestors and invoking their presence. These practices range from elaborate ceremonies, such as the Day of the Dead in Mexico, to the simpler but equally meaningful practices of honoring ancestors in everyday family life. For instance, in many African traditions, the act of pouring libations, ceremonial offerings of water, wine, or other liquids, represents a direct communion with ancestral spirits. This ritual communicates respect, gratitude, and requests for guidance. By exploring these customs, we recognize the ways Indigenous peoples actively sustain their relationships with the past, fostering a sense of belonging and continuity. Moreover, the reverence for ancestral spirits is often intertwined with a broader spiritual ecology. In many traditions, ancestors are believed to inhabit the natural world, where their spirits dwell in trees, rivers, mountains, and animals. This belief system amplifies the interconnectedness between humans and nature, urging communities to honor and protect the environment as a living entity infused with spiritual significance. The indigenous peoples of the Amazon, for example, view the rainforest not just as a physical habitat, but as a sacred space imbued with ancestral energy. Engaging with this worldview encourages respect for nature, as every element of the ecosystem is seen as a representation of ancestral spirits. To deepen your connection with nature and understand this ecological perspective, consider embarking on a nature walk. As you explore, take note of your surroundings. Identify plants, animals, and landscapes that resonate with you. Reflect on their potential significance and the stories they might hold. This mindful practice can help cultivate a greater appreciation for the interconnectedness of life, akin to the beliefs held by many indigenous traditions. Beyond the reverence for ancestors and the spiritual nature of the environment, it is crucial to examine how these beliefs influence ethical frameworks within indigenous communities. Many cultures operate under a moral code that stems from ancestral teachings. For instance, the concept of Ubuntu in Southern African philosophy emphasizes interdependence and communal harmony, rooted in the understanding that one's well-being is intrinsically tied to the well-being of others. This principle reinforces the idea that ancestors guide ethical behavior, reminding individuals to act in the best interest of their community and environment. As you reflect on your own ethical beliefs, consider the influences that shape your values. Who are the role models in your life? What lessons have they imparted to you? Write a list of 3 values that are important to you. Explore how these values connect to your experiences and how they might resonate with ancestral wisdom from your own heritage. The dialogue between ancestors and contemporary life is further enriched by the presence of spirits. Many indigenous cultures believe in a myriad of spirits, guardian spirits, spirit animals, and deities that aid human existence. These spirits echo the teachings of ancestors and often embody specific qualities that individuals seek to cultivate in themselves. In some Native American traditions, the belief in animal spirits serves as a potent reminder of the traits shared between humans and animals, fostering respect and understanding of the natural world. To connect with this aspect of spirituality, try a visualization exercise. Close your eyes and imagine an animal that resonates with you. What qualities does this animal embody? How can you apply these qualities to your own life? Journaling about your experience can help you articulate how these spiritual connections influence your actions and perspectives. As we draw this chapter to a close, it becomes evident that the interconnectedness of life as seen through the lens of ancestors and spirits is a central tenet of Indigenous spirituality. Recognizing that the past informs the present and that all beings, human and non-human, are interlinked opens up avenues for greater understanding and respect. By honoring the legacy of ancestors, fostering our relationships with nature, and embracing the spiritual guidance provided by the unseen, we cultivate a holistic worldview that transcends individual experience, highlighting our shared humanity. In the coming chapters, we will continue to explore how these beliefs shape rituals and practices across cultures, offering a deeper understanding of the sacred traditions that bind us all in the tapestry of life. Chapter 5: Cosmologies and Mythologies: Understanding the Universe. To delve into the sacred traditions of indigenous religions is to embark on a journey through complex cosmologies and mythologies that express how these cultures understand the universe. At the heart of these beliefs lies an intricate relationship between the land, the cosmos, and the human spirit. This chapter examines various indigenous cosmologies, illustrating their unique perspectives and highlighting common threads that affirm the universal quest for meaning and connection. Begin by reflecting on your own understanding of the universe. How do your cultural beliefs shape your perceptions of existence? This self-inquiry will set the stage for exploring how different indigenous cultures articulate their understanding of the cosmos. Indigenous cosmologies often feature a narrative structure where myths serve as frameworks for understanding creation, existence, and life cycles. They reveal not only the origins of the universe, but also the relationship between humans and the divine. For instance, among the Aboriginal peoples of Australia, the Dreamtime holds a central place in their cosmology, presenting a time when ancestral spirits roamed the earth and shaped the landscape. Rivers, mountains, and animals are embedded with spiritual significance, reminding communities of their connection to both their heritage and the natural world. Compare this with the creation myths of the Native American Lakota tribe, where the story of Wiyaska, the earth, emphasizes a sacred connection between the creator, the earth, and all living beings. Such narratives often serve dual purposes. They are both a means of passing down cultural knowledge and a way to instill moral values. To appreciate these narratives, engage in a practice of storytelling within your community. Share a personal story or a myth from your heritage and explore its underlying messages about existence, morality, or community. As you navigate through these narratives, notice how they reflect the cultural context in which they arose. Indigenous religions do not exist in a vacuum. They are deeply influenced by geography, climate, and social structures. For example, coastal indigenous cultures, such as the Maori of New Zealand, often view the ocean as a living entity, embodying ancestral spirits and serving as a source of sustenance and identity. This geographical specificity shapes their cosmology, infusing their myths with the significance of the ocean's rhythms and cycles. In contrast, the cosmologies of inland tribes may focus more on the land, mountains, and edible flora and fauna. Such distinctions become apparent in the stories and rituals practiced by the Plains Indians, where the buffalo represents not only a source of life, but also a spiritual connector to their ancestors. To deepen your appreciation for these connections, consider taking a walk in nature and observing the land around you. Note how the environment resonates with your own life experiences and cultural beliefs. The concept of time also varies significantly across indigenous cosmologies. Many indigenous cultures view time as cyclical rather than linear, suggesting that the past, present, and future are interconnected. This cyclical understanding is evident in many agricultural societies that celebrate seasonal changes and honor the earth through rituals that correspond to natural cycles. Reflect upon how these rhythms manifest in your own life. How do seasonal changes impact your emotions and actions? Engage in activities that bring awareness to these natural cycles, such as gardening or participating in a local harvest festival. Furthermore, the role of rituals in cementing these cosmological understandings cannot be overstated. Rituals serve as tangible expressions of beliefs, acting as conduits for spiritual connection and community cohesion. Whether it is the potlatch ceremony of the Pacific Northwest or the sun dance of the Lakota, these rituals reinforce communal ties and reiterate the narratives that bind individuals to their cosmologies. Try to participate in or observe a local ritual, even if it comes from a tradition different from your own. This experience can provide a tangible sense of how communities enact their beliefs and values. Language plays a crucial role in shaping cosmologies as well. The vocabulary used in a culture can influence how its people frame their understanding of the world. For example, the concept of Mother Earth, prevalent in many indigenous cultures, underscores a nurturing relationship with the land, contrasting with more exploitative terms that may be prevalent in industrialized societies. As you explore this notion, consider the language you use to describe your environment. What does it reveal about your relationship with nature and the cosmos? Finally, Engaging with the myths and cosmologies of indigenous religions encourages a broader perspective on what it means to be human. Study after study reveals an intrinsic human desire to find meaning in existence. These cosmologies fulfill that need through their storytelling traditions. In contemplating diverse indigenous beliefs, we gain insights into our own lives and the universality of the human experience. As you conclude this chapter, spend some time reflecting on how these rich narratives and worldviews contribute to your understanding of the universe. Take a moment to write down what resonates with you and what new perspectives you wish to incorporate into your worldview. Sharing these insights with peers can open dialogues that enrich your understanding of various belief systems while reinforcing the interconnectedness across cultures. This chapter serves not only as an exploration of indigenous cosmologies, but also as a reminder of the importance of recognizing and respecting diverse worldviews. The richness of these traditions offers valuable lessons that can deepen our understanding of ourselves and our place within the broader tapestry of life. Chapter 6: Healing Practices, Spirituality and Well-Being. Across cultures and continents, the intricate relationship between spirituality and well-being is brought to life through indigenous healing practices. These practices not only serve to restore physical health, but also reconnect individuals with their spiritual essence, their community, and the natural world. Understanding the nuances of these healing approaches invites a deeper appreciation of the holistic view of health that many indigenous cultures uphold. This chapter explores various healing practices, their spiritual significance, and the universal lessons they offer in the pursuit of well-being. To start this exploration, consider the concept of the healer within indigenous communities. Healers often possess profound knowledge about their people's cultural and spiritual history. They are not merely practitioners of medicine, but custodians of a way of life that embraces every aspect of existence. Their role extends to bridging the past and present, honoring traditions while adapting to contemporary challenges. Engage with the idea that healing is not just a personal journey, it's a communal responsibility. Reflect on your own community and identify those who serve as healers, whether formally or informally, in your life. Indigenous healing practices often incorporate a variety of elements from the physical to the spiritual. The body, mind, and spirit are seen as interconnected, each influencing the other. For instance, the Native American Cherokee tradition emphasizes the importance of harmony within oneself and with the surrounding environment. When a person falls ill, it is not merely a physical ailment, but an outcome of an imbalance in this harmony. This holistic view is a cornerstone of many indigenous healing methods, approaching health through a multidimensional lens that addresses emotional, social, and spiritual factors. As you delve deeper, recognize the significance of rituals and ceremonies in healing practices. Rituals serve as a means of invoking spiritual energies, and they can vary widely across cultures. In the Maasai culture of East Africa, healing ceremonies are infused with song, dance, and storytelling, which serve to reinforce cultural identity and socialize collective healing. The act of coming together in ritual creates a strong community bond and provides a sense of belonging, vital for mental and spiritual health. Think about the rituals in your own life, however simple they might be, and consider their role in your own healing and well-being. Another critical aspect to explore is medicinal plants and natural remedies utilized in indigenous healing traditions. Many indigenous cultures possess an expansive understanding of local flora and fauna and their medicinal properties. For example, the Andean people have long utilized the coca leaf for its therapeutic properties, both physically and spiritually. These natural remedies are often prepared with intent and may involve special prayers or chants to enhance their efficacy. Take time to research and document a few plants in your region and their uses in traditional healing practices. This exercise can connect you to the natural world and its gifts while expanding your understanding of holistic health. Alongside natural remedies, the role of meditation and mindfulness is increasingly recognized in indigenous healing practices. Cultures such as the Indigenous Australians often engage in practices that cultivate mindfulness through connection with the land and its stories. Such practices create space for reflection, allowing individuals to connect with their inner selves and the larger universe. Consider integrating mindfulness techniques into your life, whether through quiet reflection, a walk in nature, or engaging in creative expression. This can enhance your overall well being. It is vital to acknowledge the implications of modernity on Indigenous healing practices. Colonization, globalization, and the encroachment of Western medicine have posed challenges to these traditions. However, many Indigenous communities are actively reclaiming and revitalizing their healing practices, blending them with contemporary methods to address current health challenges. This resilience exemplifies the strength of cultural identity and the enduring nature of Indigenous wisdom. Reflect on how modern society can learn from these practices. What elements might be integrated into current health paradigms to foster a more holistic approach to well-being? As you wind down this chapter, it is important to summarize key insights about the intersection of spirituality and healing. Indigenous healing practices reveal the profound interconnectedness of the individual with the community, nature, and the spiritual world. They remind us that health is not merely the absence of illness, but a holistic state of balance and harmony. Engage with the lessons these traditions impart about resilience, connection, and the sacredness of life. Use this understanding to reflect on your own path toward well-being and consider how you might incorporate these insights into your daily life. In conclusion, the exploration of Indigenous healing practices highlights profound wisdom that is relevant to all. By embracing these holistic approaches, we open ourselves to new ways of understanding health and well-being that transcend cultural boundaries. As you continue to journey through this book, remain attuned to the myriad of lessons that Indigenous traditions offer, allowing them to inspire a reconceptualization of your worldview and nurture your spiritual heritage. Chapter 7: Cultural Preservation, Challenges and Resilience. As we delve deeper into the dynamics of Indigenous religions, we confront the vital topic of cultural preservation. The very essence of Indigenous spirituality is oftentimes intricately woven into the daily lives, beliefs, and rituals of its people. However, these sacred practices face unprecedented threats from globalized modernity, environmental degradation, and socio-political disruptions. This chapter illuminates the challenges these communities face in preserving their cultural heritage, while also highlighting the resilience displayed by Indigenous peoples across different continents. Begin by reflecting on the historical context of Indigenous cultures. Many Indigenous communities have endured colonization, which systematically aimed to erase their spiritual beliefs and practices. This colonial legacy created lasting economic and social inequalities that continue to impact these communities today. Understand that the loss of land, language, and autonomy not only compromises the physical spaces where these traditions flourish, but also the spiritual and emotional ties that bolster identity. Engage with these histories, recognizing the ongoing repercussions and allowing this understanding to inform your perspective on contemporary issues. Next, examine the contemporary challenges faced by Indigenous spiritualities in their quest for preservation. The encroachment of industrialization has often led to the degradation of sacred sites, while climate change poses a more existential threat by altering ecosystems that are integral to Indigenous practices. Moreover, the rapid pace of globalization can dilute traditional beliefs, as younger generations may gravitate toward more mainstream cultures, often fueled by technology and social media. As you consider these factors, think critically about how they contribute to the erosion of cultural identities. In response to these challenges, many Indigenous communities are taking proactive steps to reclaim and preserve their traditions. Grassroots movements have emerged globally, advocating for the rights of Indigenous peoples. Efforts to revitalize languages, revive traditional practices, and protect sacred lands are being spearheaded by passionate individuals and organizations. These initiatives provide a framework for understanding not just the survival tactics employed by these communities, but also their determination to thrive. As you analyze these movements, consider participating in local initiatives or supporting Indigenous rights organizations, as these actions are vital to the resilience narrative. Furthermore, the role of education cannot be overstated in the preservation of Indigenous cultures. Efforts to incorporate Indigenous knowledge systems into curriculums serve to educate and inspire the younger generations. By integrating Indigenous history, philosophies, and spirituality into mainstream education, societies can foster a greater appreciation for cultural diversity. As you engage with this topic, contemplate ways in which educational institutions can adopt inclusive practices that validate and honor Indigenous knowledge, perhaps by advocating for community-led educational programs or cultural exchanges. Consider the importance of storytelling in preserving these traditions. Oral histories are central to many Indigenous cultures, serving as vessels for carrying wisdom, teachings, and cultural values from generation to generation. When engaging with Indigenous narratives, approach them with respect and genuine interest. Documenting these stories through various mediums, be it film, literature, or art, ensures that they reach wider audiences and resonate with contemporary issues. This not only helps preserve the stories, but also fosters understanding and empathy among diverse populations. Reflect on how storytelling can bridge gaps between cultures and offer insights into the Indigenous experience. Technology also plays a dual role in cultural preservation. On one hand, it poses risks to authenticity and tradition through misrepresentation and appropriation. On the other hand, it offers opportunities for Indigenous peoples to document their cultures and share their stories on global platforms. Social media campaigns, dedicated websites, and digital archives are being utilized to connect Indigenous voices worldwide and foster solidarity. As you consider this aspect, think critically about how technology can be harnessed responsibly. Support platforms that prioritize Indigenous voices and encourage the sharing of authentic narratives, thus contributing to cultural preservation efforts. Lastly, it is essential to remember that cultural preservation is not merely the responsibility of Indigenous communities themselves. Allies from within and outside these cultures have a role to play in advocating for and respecting Indigenous rights. Awareness and activism can drive legislative changes that protect sacred lands and cultural practices. Engage in discussions about policies affecting Indigenous communities and support the implementation of laws that uphold their rights. Foster dialogue about the importance of honoring these traditions as integral to the fabric of humanity. As you reflect on these issues, determine how you can participate actively in supporting Indigenous rights and preserving these sacred traditions. In conclusion, the journey towards cultural preservation is fraught with challenges, yet it is also filled with hope and resilience. By understanding the complexities surrounding Indigenous spiritualities and the obstacles they face, we can become informed advocates for their rights and cultural expressions. This journey requires commitment, respect, and active participation, whether through education, advocacy, or simply by listening to the voices of Indigenous peoples. Let us honor their legacies and work together to ensure that their sacred traditions continue to inspire future generations. Chapter 8: Interfaith Dialogue: Bridging Spiritual Worlds. In an increasingly interconnected world, the pressing need for understanding and cooperation among diverse belief systems has never been more apparent. Chapter 8 delves into the concept of interfaith dialogue, a practice that embraces the richness of different spiritual traditions while fostering mutual respect and understanding. This chapter will explore the foundations of interfaith dialogue, its importance in contemporary society, and practical approaches to initiating and participating in such conversations. The first step toward understanding interfaith dialogue is recognizing its roots in various Indigenous and world religions. Historically, many Indigenous spiritualities have emphasized communal values, interconnectedness, and respect for all living beings. This foundation creates a fertile ground for dialogue, allowing practitioners from different backgrounds to explore common goals, ethical values, and the shared human experience. Seek to frame conversations around these shared principles, as they serve to build bridges rather than barriers. As we navigate the complexities of contemporary society, it becomes crucial to understand the transformative power of interfaith dialogue. Engaging in these dialogues allows individuals to challenge preconceived notions, dismantle stereotypes, and address biases that may arise from lack of exposure to different cultures. Aim to approach these discussions with an open mind and a willingness to listen. This openness reaffirms the belief that wisdom can be drawn from all traditions, enriching one's own spiritual journey and broadening one's perspectives. To initiate successful interfaith dialogues, one must develop a set of skills that facilitate effective communication and understanding. Begin by cultivating active listening skills. Focus entirely on the speaker without interrupting. This practice encourages respect and makes the speaker feel valued. Use reflective listening techniques to paraphrase what has been said, ensuring clarity and demonstrating genuine engagement. This simple act can significantly enhance the quality of the dialogue, allowing both parties to feel heard and understood. Additionally, familiarize yourself with the beliefs and practices of different faiths. This knowledge not only demonstrates respect, but also equips you with essential context during discussions. Engage in research or attend workshops on various spiritual traditions. Understanding the core tenets and rituals of different faiths will prepare you to engage in more meaningful dialogues. Furthermore, it can help to identify the similarities in values that transcend individual beliefs, such as compassion, justice, and the pursuit of truth. Creating a safe and inclusive environment is paramount for productive interfaith dialogue. In any interfaith gathering or discussion, set clear ground rules that encourage respect and openness. Invite participants to share their beliefs and experiences without fear of being criticized or judged. Establishing a sense of psychological safety empowers individuals to express their thoughts candidly. Consider organizing interfaith events that incorporate meditative practices, such as prayer or silence, to center participants and create a peaceful atmosphere conducive to open sharing. Engaging in interfaith dialogue is not only about gaining knowledge, but also about connecting on a deeper level. Emphasize storytelling as a tool for bridging spiritual worlds. Encourage participants to share personal anecdotes that illustrate the impact of their beliefs on their lives. Personal stories illuminate the human experience behind doctrines, making it easier to empathize and relate to others. These shared narratives have the power to evoke compassion and understanding, allowing individuals to appreciate the beauty and complexity of diverse spiritual journeys. As one becomes more involved in interfaith dialogue, it is important to reflect on the ethical dimensions of such engagements. Individuals must consider their own biases and assumptions as they enter discussions. Strive to challenge these preconceived notions while adhering to the principles of humility and openness. Recognize that all perspectives have merit, and above all, approach every dialogue with a spirit of curiosity rather than confrontation. This shift in mindset can transform challenging conversations into opportunities for growth and learning. Finally, remember that interfaith dialogue should not be viewed as a means to an end, but rather as an ongoing process of discovery and connection. After participating in dialogues, assess the experience and reflect on what you learned about both yourself and others. Consider how new insights might influence your beliefs, practices, or interactions with others in the future. By embracing this cyclical process of dialogue, one not only deepens their understanding of other faiths, but also enriches their own spiritual life. In conclusion, the power of interfaith dialogue lies in its ability to bridge spiritual worlds and foster a deeper sense of community across diverse belief systems. By recognizing shared values, honing communication skills, creating inclusive environments, and promoting personal storytelling, individuals can contribute to a more harmonious world. Embrace the challenge of engaging in these dialogues, for they hold the potential to transform not only individual perspectives, but also the fabric of society itself. As we reflect on the teachings of Indigenous traditions and the importance of interconnectedness, may we all become advocates for understanding and compassion in our diverse spiritual landscape. Chapter 9: A Journey of Respect, Engaging with Indigenous Traditions. Engaging with Indigenous traditions invites a profound journey of respect and understanding. As we draw closer to the end of our exploration of the sacred traditions that shape Indigenous religions worldwide, it is imperative to recognize the importance of active participation and mindful engagement with these rich tapestries of belief and practice. This chapter serves as both a guide and a call to action, encouraging readers to respect, honor, and learn from Indigenous peoples and their spiritual heritages. Begin by familiarizing yourself with the diverse cultures and histories of the Indigenous groups you wish to engage with. Research their traditions, languages, and community dynamics. The foundation of sincere engagement lies in understanding the context in which these traditions exist. Read books, watch documentaries, or listen to podcasts that feature authentic voices from Indigenous communities. Consider reaching out to local Indigenous organizations or cultural centers, which often offer workshops and events aimed at educating the public about their customs and beliefs. Next, it is essential to approach your engagement with humility and respect. Acknowledge that you are entering a sacred space, one that may carry deep spiritual significance. If you are invited to participate in a ceremony, follow the lead of the community members. Observe their practices without interruption or judgment. Engage with an open heart and mind, and allow yourself to be fully present in the moment. This is not a performance for an audience. It is a genuine experience meant to honor the traditions of the community. Participatory learning can deepen your understanding. Seek out opportunities to volunteer with Indigenous communities or engage in cultural exchanges. Such experiences allow for a two-way dialogue where you can both share your own background and learn about theirs. When volunteering, approach the experience as a student rather than a teacher. Show your commitment to the community's vision and goals, and be willing to adapt your mindset to align with theirs. This reciprocity fosters relationships built on trust and mutual respect. Consider also the ethical implications of your engagement. It is crucial to recognize the potential for cultural appropriation, a concept that has garnered much attention in recent years. Misappropriation occurs when elements of a culture are taken out of context and used without understanding their significance or the effects on the original community. To avoid this, seek permission when interacting with specific customs, symbols, or practices, and prioritize the voices of Indigenous peoples in discussions about their traditions. Supporting Indigenous-owned businesses, artists, and creators can also contribute to the preservation and celebration of their cultures. As you move through this journey, reflect on your own cultural biases and assumptions. Everyone carries different perspectives shaped by their backgrounds and life experiences. Acknowledging these biases will allow you to approach Indigenous traditions with a clearer lens, fostering greater empathy and understanding. Engage in self-reflection by asking yourself questions such as, how do my beliefs intersect with those of Indigenous peoples? What assumptions do I have about their practices? And how can I broaden my perspective to encompass their realities? This introspective process can illuminate your path forward as you engage with Indigenous traditions. Furthermore, as you deepen your engagement, consider the role of storytelling. Oral traditions are foundational to many Indigenous cultures. They convey history, morals, and worldviews passed down through generations. Listen to stories shared by community members with an open mind and heart. Reflect on their meanings and how they relate to your own life. You might even find ways to incorporate lessons from these stories into your everyday life, fostering a sense of connection with the broader human experience. Lastly, take the time to share what you have learned with your community. Become an advocate for Indigenous rights and traditions in your circles. Organize workshops, discussions, or gatherings that highlight the importance of preserving and respecting Indigenous cultures. By amplifying Indigenous voices and supporting their causes, you contribute to the ongoing narrative of cultural resilience and survival. Your newfound knowledge can inspire others to embark on their own journeys of respect and understanding. As we conclude this chapter and our journey through the sacred traditions of Indigenous religions, may you carry forward the lessons of respect, curiosity, and humility. Engaging with Indigenous traditions is not merely an academic pursuit, but a pathway to connection. The tapestry of humanity is woven with stories, beliefs, and practices from every corner of the globe. By honoring Indigenous traditions, we honor the richness of our shared human experience and cultivate a deeper understanding of the diversity that exists within it. Let this journey be a starting point for ongoing education, advocacy, and respect for those who carry the sacred wisdom of their ancestors into the future.